On the island of Newfoundland, upon the southwest coast, lies the little town of Virgil, to whom I'll sing this toast. There are so many islands that lie just off her shore, and when the cold north wind blows, you can hear the billows roar. The people from the village make their living from the sea. They like their independence. It shows that they are free. Some fish in their small boats in the wind, the rain and sleet, while others make their living on the offshore trawler fleet. They've known their share of tragedies down through the years, and when the memories overcome, they show their grief with tears. For they have lost some loved ones to the furies of the seas. For heartaches and heartbreaks are locked in memories. This village, it's got beauty carved on its rugged shore. 7 miles of pure white sand. Who could ask for more? The mountains and the valleys where the rivers run so fast, and the salmon rise to the sportsman's fly as he makes another cast. Now the people of this village love their native home. For anyone who goes away, oh surely will return. Just like that lifelong mystery, the answer you won't know. What makes this rugged village burn so deeply in your soul? What makes this rugged village burn so deeply in your soul?
Good evening, and welcome to This Week in Review. Tonight in our stories we have Ideal Generation information, Earth Day information, Town Council report. Please stay tuned for these stories after this.
When I was about 6 years old, I remember taking something that didn't belong to me. Looking back on that day, it would have been very easy for my dad to lecture me and hope I never did it again. Whatever I took wasn't worth much, but the lesson I learned was worth everything.
Life's most important lessons are best learned in the home. A message from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
2 representatives from the Ideal Generation session dropped by the studio to tell us about the session. Good evening. In our studios tonight we have John McPherson and Mary Lambert Skinner, and they're here to discuss their Ideal Generation session that's going to take place on April the 22nd at the town office. So you want to tell me a little bit about the organization?
Well, the organization that I work for is Community Business Development Corporation, and what we do is we offer support and advice for people who would want to start a business in the community or buy out an existing business. And we also provide funding for businesses that, again, want to start up, or someone that's buying out a business. And of course, we work in partnership on a number of occasions with Johnny's group. And one of the ones that we're working on in particular, and we want to promote this week in this area, is the idea generating session.
Okay. John, would you like to tell me about the idea and a generation session, what that's all about exactly?
Well, this, as part of our strategic planning process and our work plan for the year for the Long Range Economic Development Board, one of the things that we had committed to do to the funding agencies was an idea generation session. Mary and her group had plans for the same thing, and this resulted from a session that was held back some years ago, about 3 years ago, I guess, Mary.
Yes, it was, yeah.
Which was held in Stephenville, and we had about 30 people come in one day and just sit down and talk about possible things that might work in the community. As a result of that, when we got ready to do this one and went back and looked and so on, of those ideas that were thrown out at that time, there's actually 4 businesses now in operation that you know, it wasn't necessarily the people who presented the idea, but that people had taken and run with. So we decided, got together, and we decided it would make sense. We're spread out so much, and we have so many regions, from Port-au-Port to Grey River, Francois, Ramia here, and so on, to try to capitalize as much as possible, because we're quite confident there's all kinds of good ideas here too, that we would actually hold the sessions out in the different sub-regions rather than just calling a meeting in Stephenville and trying to get people in there. So that's where the idea came from, and we're looking forward to a good turnout now on the 22nd.
Okay, very good. Mary, who should attend to those meetings?
Well, the purpose of the sessions, as Johnny just mentioned, you know, is to have anyone in the community, you know, anyone who's got an idea that don't even necessarily want to start the business themselves, but just thinks that this could be a good idea that could be used for business development in your community, or even in some other community for that matter. I mean, it could be an idea gets developed in Stephenville that could work in the Burgeo area and vice versa. So we're looking for anyone from the community that if you think that you've got a good idea that could possibly be turned into a business, then we want you out at this session, you know. I mean, it's just 2 hours. It should be a fun session. It's going to be a facilitated session, so someone is going to be there, you know, keeping the session going. So anyone from the general public, and that's the intent of us bringing it out to regions like Burgeo and Port-au-Port Peninsula, is when we did it a few years ago, as Johnny mentioned earlier. We just did it in the Stephenville area, and because of the success of that session, we thought, well, why not bring it out to areas like this, where we're sure there's lots of good ideas, you know, that would probably come forward on that day.
Okay. Now, if a person has a business idea, like, where do funding come from? How would they be able to access this?
Well, there's a number of sources, you know, that you could access funding. Our agency is one of them, as I mentioned to you a little bit earlier. But there's a number of sessions. I mean, the big thing with ideas is it's just not the funding, of course. There's a number of things that need to be developed, you know. Not every idea turns into a business, as you know, as we all know. But some do, you know, and there's a number of agencies around that would be more than willing to sit down with someone who's got a good idea. Funding is usually not the issue.
Okay.
If you've got a good idea that can be turned into a business, funding is usually not the issue. It's an idea that could work in your community.
Okay. So if someone had a good idea, comes to your session and presents this idea, is there someone who decides that it could be a good idea, or do it go further than your session?
I would, yes.
Yes, there will be. We're not going to take, we're hoping there'll be all kinds of ideas, and none of them will be bad. But there will be a group of us get together when the sessions are over, and there's a process in place to evaluate the ideas, to see if they're economically viable to go with. And whether we have a champion as a result of these meetings, or somebody turns up at our office, Mary's office, somewhere down the road, at least you have this to present and say, you know, this is something that we think can work in our region, wherever it may be, Burgeo, Stephenville, Ramia, wherever it might be. And, you know, there's already some groundwork done to assure that it's not pie in the sky, that it has a fair chance of working.
Okay.
And on another note, I mean, the thing is with the idea generating session, you know, once your idea, like if you've got an idea now and you're wanting to start your business within the next week or two, well, you're not going to bring that idea out at the session, you know. You're going to meet with me or Johnny or someone else, and we could work with you individually. The intent of the idea generating session is that you've got an idea, but you really don't plan on going into business, but you think it's something that could possibly work in the community. And once your idea goes out, it's a free-for-all. Like if I've got an idea and I throw it out, well, it's for anyone to pick up and use. That's the intent. We want to be really clear with that.
Yep.
The purpose of the idea generating session is just to come up with ideas that could have some merit, could be turned into a business opportunity, could benefit your community, could hire people within your community, and that's what idea generating sessions are all about, right? But if you got an idea now and you know that you're going to turn that into a business, and it's got a good chance of being turned into a business, and you're going to use it yourself, well, you're not going to bring that out in a public session, right? You meet with us separately at a separate session for that, right?
Oh, okay. Now, if somebody do have an idea, but they can't make it to this meeting, is there somewhere they could contact?
Yep, absolutely. We're going to be putting these posters around the community, and there's contact information on the poster, and it actually tells you that if you've got an idea that you can't make it to the session, you can phone it in to our office or email it in, or you could actually drop it off at the session. Drop it off to Blaine at town office, or Siobhan or someone like that, right? Someone within your community, and they could pass it on to us, and we could actually use it at the session.
Okay, very good. So is there anything else now that you would like to add?
Well, I'd just like to point out that the reason we're meeting out in the communities is that if we traditionally say call a meeting in Stephenville, you tend to get, if anyone from, say, Burgeo, Rammy, or whatever, it'd be the mayor of the town or whatever, all wonderful people with good ideas. But the people we hope to see on Tuesday are the common folks like the rest of us, the gas station attendant, the fisherman, whoever, just general public who probably sitting around chatting one day said, you know, why doesn't somebody do this? And that's hopefully who we'll see turn out on Wednesday. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah, the session is Wednesday, April 22nd,
Yes.
and it's 1 to 3. It's at the town office, and you know, we'll be there, and we'll have some prizes to give away, and we've got some coffee and a snack if you want to have one with us. It's just 2 hours. And just to reiterate exactly what Johnny said, you know, it's the common person like myself. You know, you want to get out, you got an idea, you want them to come out and help make the session interesting. And hopefully this session will be just as successful as the one that we held in Stephenville a few years ago, you know. That's the intent, is not to leave out small communities. We want to include them in sessions like this, and that's why we're coming out to your community. So we hope to see you out to our session, since we're coming out to the community for you.
Yeah, absolutely. All our rural communities are facing challenges, and I think everyone realizes it's no good to wait for government to come to save us or whatever. If our communities are going to survive, it's up to us, and it's the ideas, the small little ideas, the small little 1- and 2-person business opportunities and so on, that'll keep us where we want to be, which is in the rural areas of this province for years to come. So we need your help, and we look forward to seeing you Wednesday.
Okay, well, thank you so much for dropping by and explaining this all to us.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
and hopefully we'll see you there.
Celebrate every April 22nd. Earth Day is the largest, most celebrated environmental event worldwide. More than 6 million Canadians join 1 billion people in over 170 countries in staging events and projects to address local environmental issues. Nearly every school child in Canada takes part in an Earth Day activity. Environmental challenges abound as our daily actions pollute and degrade the fragile environment that humans and wildlife depend on to survive. Earth Day provides the opportunity for positive action and results. First launched as an environmental awareness event in the United States in 1970, Earth Day, which is April 22nd, is celebrated as the birth of the environmental movement. Earth Day is a powerful catalyst for change. The first Earth Day, spearheaded by Wisconsin's government, Gaylord Nelson, and Harvard University student Dennis Hayes, involved 20 million participants in teach-ins to address decades of environmental pollution. The event inspired the U.S. Congress to pass Clean Air and Water Acts and establish the Environmental Protection Agency to research and monitor environmental issues and enforce environmental laws. In 1990, 2 million Canadians joined 200 million people in 141 nations in celebrating the first International Earth Day. In many countries, the global event brought pressure on heads of state to take part in the UN Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro to address issues such as climate change and the worldwide loss of species. In Canada, Earth Day has grown into Earth Week and even Earth Month to accommodate the profusion of events and projects. They range from large public events to thousands of small private events staged by school, employee groups, and community groups. Need a good laugh? If so, come on down to the Parish Hall on Saturday, April 25th, or Thursday, April 30th, for a variety concert beginning at 7:30. There will be tickets sold on a handmade wooden calendar owner, donated by Leonard Skinner, and a basket of groceries. During intermission, chips, sandwiches, pop, and water will be sold. Tickets are $5 each and can be purchased in advance by dropping by or calling the parish office at 886-2591 on Monday, April the 20th from 1 to 4 p.m. Come along and treat yourself to a good laugh. Mayor George Reed came by the studio with his town council report.
Good evening. April the 15th, council had a meeting, and I'll run through basically what took place at the meeting. Give you an update on the water system. The old stuff has been taken out. I think most of it has been taken out at this point in time, and I think the new stuff will start. We'll start putting it. I think this Monday, this coming Monday, they'll be starting putting in the new stuff. Now the tender for the tank, which is I suppose the last hurdle in this water system we have here. So it's not over yet. There's always some stumbling block, and I think the last time I reported to you is that the water tank has went to tender, and it closed on March the 31st. Well, the tenders came in. Well, there was only one tender came in. All that fuss ever since last June. We've been trying to get that tank go to tender. It finally went to tender in around the 1st of March, and in the March it closed. And out of all that, one tender came in, exactly one tender, and that tender was for glass-lined steel tank. But here's the problem. It was estimated that the tank would cost 1.1 million, in other words, 1,100,000. It came in at 1,359,000. So therefore, it's over by $259,000. Which means, of course, that we've had to go after government for that amount of money, $259,000 more, to do this job. Right now, the government is looking at it, studying it, and the last bit of news that I can tell you is that they usually, when a tender comes in, it has to be lit within 30 days. The government wants an extension of another 30 days to give them to make up their mind whether or not they're going to let this tender go. So that means if they get another 30 days, it'll be 90 days from the end of March, so it'll be the end of May. So hopefully it won't take that long to get that tender lit. What they're going to be doing in the meantime, of course, they're going to be going back to the contractor or the bidder and asking him to reduce his price, if he will reduce his price. Now, what happens there, of course, is anybody's guess. So I'll keep you informed. The arena, the tender for the arena, that also closed on March 31st. There were two bids for that. It was estimated that was going to cost $270,000. The tender came in for $279,440. That was the low bid. The next bid was $527, I think, more than that one. So the low bid was $279,440, which means it came in at $9,440 more than estimated. That's not too bad. I would assume that tender will be lit as it is, but as at this time of telling you, the tender has not been lit. Okay, so keep you informed on that. The fire department, they got their camera, their imaging camera, and my understanding is that there will be somebody coming in the Burjo to teach our firemen how to use it. The fire department or the council put the old fire van up on tenders. There's one tender came in for $205, and I think the fire department will make up their mind whether or not they're going to let that van go at their next meeting. The Fireman's Ball is scheduled for this Saturday night, April the 18th. That's a ball that the town sponsors each year in appreciation to our firemen and ladies. It's a way for council to show appreciation, some appreciation for the job that these young men and women do. We are very proud of them. The National Marine Conservation Area, that's still ongoing discussions. Parks Canada is still talking about that. We have been told from time to time a little bit of information, and so therefore it's ongoing. The waste disposal, the new waste disposal program that they're going to put into effect, that's still ongoing. That's still an ongoing issue, and we haven't had any discussions since the last time I reported it to you. Now, garbage, of course. Garbage is always an issue, and we've been trying to deal with it in Burjo, of course, every year. Council does his best to make sure that you have access to the dump, and also that the council helps you in cleaning up your property every spring. This year is going to be May the 18th to the 31st. So you can start, of course, cleaning your property at any time, which you all know about, of course, and you do it anyhow. A lot of people are getting their property cleaned up now, and they're doing a fine job of it. And hopefully by the time May the 18th rolls around, there won't be a hell of a lot left to clean up or to take in the garbage dump. So please do that. Get rid of all your ricks. Make sure you get them. This year, I don't think council's got any special program going on this year about ricks. So you're responsible to get your ricks off your land, or pay someone to do it. And that's your old car and truck ricks, that is. But your other garbage that you can't take up to the garbage dump or haven't got means of taking up, and that we will have the cleanup on May the 18th to the 31st. But I'll have more to say about that, I think, and we'll have a council meeting, hopefully, probably before that date. I gotta say one thing here, though, about the dumps. That car dump up there. That car dump up there, or vehicle dump, is what it says it is. It's a vehicle dump. It's not a dump for throwing your trash in, for throwing your household garbage in. For some reason, I don't understand why some people think that they can do whatever they will bloody well please with garbage in that, and with rules and regulations. The rules apply to everyone alike in this town. It doesn't apply to me, and it doesn't apply to you. It applies to everyone. And what people are doing now, they're going up there for some reason or another, and because the regular garbage dump is not open, and it doesn't please them, or whatever the case might be, and instead of taking stuff home and waiting for the day to come so they can get it picked up, they're throwing their trash in the car dump, in the vehicle dump. Now, if you get caught throwing trash in that vehicle dump, we're going to charge you. And we're going to take it to court. That is not a dump for throwing household garbage in. It's a dump for carrying in vehicles. So for goodness sake, you know, the law applies to you, every one of us, 100% it applies to. It doesn't apply to select people. It applies to everyone. So, you know, please, govern yourself accordingly, and don't fill that dump with household garbage. We got to send people in there then to clean it up. We got to pay them to go and clean it up, and it's just unnecessary, just unnecessary. The billing committee, they issued 7 permits for the past month for repairs and billing sheds and repairs to houses. Now, it's the time of the year for you to shut your water off. Some of you have had to run your water the year. Council understands this. But it's time now for you to please go down and shut it off. It won't freeze from here on in. And there's no need to have that running now all summer, just wasting water. So your water didn't freeze the year, which was a good thing. So take the time now, it won't take you very long. Go down and shut your water off either today or tomorrow, but at least get it done as soon as possible. And we certainly would appreciate if you do that. On May the 27th, Blaine and myself, we will be going to Stephenville for a committee there talking about sustainability plan for the community. And we paid invoices to the amount of $11,256. And we had a request from the Daffodil House. I'm sure every one of you listeners out there know about Daffodil House. I think they've raised something like $6 million so far to build that complex in St. John's to house people from the health ports who go in there for cancer treatment and have nowhere to stay. And that will soon be completed. I think they're they're on their last leg, and I think they have to raise about $1 million. We had a request from council for a donation. And we discussed it in council, and we came up with an idea, probably rather than council just making a donation, that would be a good idea if we have a telethon. And that we could have a telethon at BBS here, and that means then everybody could contribute to their means, whatever they want to give. And I think that way it would show that the whole community is participating in getting this Daffodil House built. I think it's a tremendous idea for anyone living out on the coast there. And we've had so much cancer in this town is really heartbreaking. So on May the 31st or June the 7th, we're going to have a telethon at BBS studio here to raise money to send for that Daffodil House project. Also, just want to mention that Volunteer Week is April the 19th to the 25th. That's a week set aside this year to show your appreciation to volunteers. And it's amazing the number of volunteers still in this town. Just about every organization here is run by volunteers. If it wasn't for these people giving up their time, their energy, using time that they could spend with their families, that they could spend doing their thing, they're actually doing stuff for you or doing stuff for the community. So that week, it's just a week set aside to show the volunteers that that it's appreciated what they're doing for their towns. I don't think that a town would be able to exist without volunteers. And I think the unfortunate part about it, that there's not enough people volunteering, because it seems to be that a lot of the work is done by, I see the same faces over and over. And it doesn't mean that they got any more time on their hands than the rest of you. It just simply means that they're willing to contribute some of that time to do the work on behalf of the town. So those people who are out there who are not doing anything or been done something and give it up, it might be time to reconsider and offer yourself again to do some volunteer work for the town. And I'm sure in the long run, people might bitch about things that you do and that from time to time, but I'm sure deep down that most people, they do appreciate that they have these volunteers doing the things for this town. Where would we be without the Lions Club, for example? Where would we be without the fire brigade? Where would we be without these help groups that are advertised on TV there all the time, having meetings here and there? So it's very important, worthwhile. Where would we be without the housing, the seniors complex up there, the committee that runs that? And, you know, I don't have a list of all the committees that are here in Birchville. I probably should have had them so I could thank each one of them particularly. So for all of you, I certainly would, on behalf of the town, I would like to thank these volunteer committees for the work that you're putting into it. Without your time and energy, things would not run as smoothly as they do now. So I'm sure you are appreciated probably by everyone in the town in one way or another. I also would like to thank our workers over this past winter, town workers over the past winter, doing the tremendous job again this year, keeping our streets and that clear during the many storms that we had. And it's always a trying time in the winter time to keep the roads clear for everyone, and so we appreciate what they do on behalf of the town. I know they get paid, but nevertheless they do way beyond their expectations sometimes. They're out there all hours in the night, and when it's, you know, basically you can't see a hand before you. So I'd like to thank our town workers. I would also like to give thanks to the highway workers, the people who keep Route 480 open for the whole year. I think this year, I don't believe we had many storms, but we had some pretty good ones in relationship to the road visibility on the road. And these workers are out there all hours a night and all hours a day in the worst kind of conditions. And so on behalf of the people of Burjo, I would like to thank these workers on Route 480. There's been a new light installed, a street light installed up by Refs. I think he's already been installed. That area became dark there, somewhat dark there after Refs closed. Refs used to have 2 or 3 lights, I think, on their building there. And once they closed, that was the end of the lights. And so now council have installed a light on one of the poles there. The next meeting is May the 13th, hopefully. And that's it. And I hope you have a good week and good night.
This concludes our program for tonight. Thank you for watching. Good night.